The Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mohamed Bawumia, ye name says say no wa present a Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh wa present the dean as the running mate on no ebeko 2024 election no. Na enra Napo ekopiem ewo NPP omo national headquarters.
Incoming Vice President. Incoming Vice President. Incoming Vice President and Deputy Campaign Manager. And Campaign Manager is there too. Eko Vincent is there. Dr. Anyas, Deputy Campaign Manager. Incoming President, Vice President. Napo, the latest in town. The incoming Vice President. The incoming Vice President. Nana Tata. Yeba Santa Regine. Another Regine for won't say any Yeba. Yeba, yes. What did the campaign deputy campaign manager? Yera Obiamwa. Yeah, the senior age to the incoming president, Mr. Eko Vincent. Honorable Eko Vincent. The campaign manager is here. The incoming vice president, Napo. People call him Napo. You can see Ubo. Dr. Anyas. Where they pay with the doctor. The incoming vice president. Ashanti region, Mumo Choboy. And then now what triple pay. The incoming vice president. The incoming vice president. The incoming vice president. Watch it here. Ubia. Come. The incoming vice president. Nana Poku. What did they?
Na okopiem no sane edom esi ebehia no na ohwe the atmosphere ewo headquarters on ma na ewo so pa na together with tafo pankro no MP Eko Vincent asefua no so edi akira ono so ekobo na chidom ewo NPP headquarters on
senior atu incoming vice president. Incoming Vice President and Deputy Campaign Manager. And Campaign Manager is there too. Eko Vincent is there. Dr. Anyas, Deputy Campaign Manager. Incoming President, Vice President. Napo, the latest in town. The incoming Vice President. The incoming Vice President. Nana Tata. Yeba Santa Regine. Another Regine for won't say any Yeba. Yes. What did the deputy campaign manager? Yera Obiamwa. Yeah, the senior age to the incoming president, Mr. Eko Vincent. Honorable Eko Vincent. The campaign manager is here. The incoming vice president, Napo. People call him Napo. You can see Ubo. Dr. Anyas. Where they pay with the doctor. The incoming vice president. Ashanti region, Mumo Choboy. And then now what triple pay. The incoming vice president. The incoming vice president. The incoming vice president. Watch it here. Ubia. Come. The incoming vice president. Nana Poku. What did the senior aid? Atu.
Na the course there na in fact dikapa. Na after that na Kwesi Prat also dey sembi ebe tuja about Napo the nomination to be running mate for the Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mohamed Bawumia. Kwesi Prat dey sempa tuja.
But you see, Randy, I'm learning for the first time that the meeting at which His Excellency President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo was informed of the choice was by Zoom. Wow.
Yeah, he was out of the country.
And he could not be briefed before he left the country. He could not be briefed after his return. It had to be by Zoom.
Maybe that was the formal meeting.
Yeah, but then there must be compelling reasons why such an important meeting is conducted by Zoom. You understand? And I don't know why, but I'd like to find out a lot more detail about how such an important meeting of informing His Excellency the President about Dr. Baomia's choice was done by Zoom. That's one. Now, I've been told, and Eric, please correct me if I'm wrong, that the Baumia campaign did not release a statement about this meeting, did not put this information in the public domain.
Yes.
I'm also aware of the fact that the Jubilee House, the Flagstaff House, did not issue a statement on this matter. And yet, the following day or two, this matter was on all the front pages. And in fact, many of the reports in the different newspapers were identical. So it does suggest to me that somebody deliberately put out this information. Now, what was the motive? Whoever put out this information, did he have the authority of the presidential candidate's campaign? Did he have the authority of the president himself? And so on. But you see, Randy, I read those reports very carefully. And I suspect that there was some mischief involved in that report. Even Daily Graphic, reported that when the president was informed, he spoke his mind. And that is repeated in many of the reports, that the president spoke his mind and eventually accepted the nomination. Unless my English teacher was so horrible. So, from this reading of what was put out, it does appear that there was some hesitation on the part of the president. He didn't readily accept the nomination. He spoke his mind and eventually came to accept the nomination. That is the language which is used in the report. And it makes me a bit, queasy. What really happened? When the president spoke his mind, what did he speak to? And how did he eventually, the operative word there is eventually, how did he eventually come to accept the nomination? Now, be that as it may, we were also told that all the major stakeholders had been consulted at the time that the announcement was made. Okay. That is also being contested now. And I've read the statement made by the Honorable, what is his name? Apia
Kubi.
You understand? I've read the statement he made. I've actually listened to him directly and so on. And one of the things he says is that the parliamentary caucus had not been consulted at the time the announcement was made.
An announcement was made.
An announcement was made.
By who?
You would know. Why
no announcement was made. There were news reportage.
Who put that in
but
the
that
news?
we can't. But I mean, Brad is here. He's like a renowned media person. These things get out. You understand what I'm saying?
Didn't just get
No, but
out.
what I mean is that
Eric,
it wasn't. There was no official announcement from anybody.
But there was an announcement.
By who?
You should know. I wasn't at that meeting. I couldn't have known.
Yeah, no, but
It must be somebody who was privy to the
Unimpeachable sources.
But you see, for me, the key thing is that at least 3 newspapers used the same words to describe what had happened, which would suggest that there was a syndication.
That's correct.
Which would suggest that there was a syndication. Now, whoever masterminded that syndication must have been privy to the meeting, must have known what happened in the meeting. And whoever released that statement clearly wanted to do some mischief. This line about the president spoke his mind and eventually came to accept the nomination, it's not very positive, is it? It shows that the president had misgivings about the candidate. Okay. So whoever did that had a motive. Whoever did that was subversive of the process. Whoever did that aimed at angering people like Honorable Andy Apiakubi, whose main point was that there could not have been wide consultations when the parliamentary caucus had not been consulted. You know. And then he goes on to make another very interesting point. He says, look, he's a parliamentary candidate. And he cannot see how the vice presidential candidate nominated can come to his constituency and lift his hand.
Why?
He is the one who would know, Randy. The suggestion is that there is some very bad blood between him and the presidential candidate. And indeed, he also gave the impression that he was not just speaking for himself, but he was speaking